This is Scott Holden, Communications 1010, the informative speech, and these are my audience members. Thanks everybody for joining me here today to listen to me talk about vitamin D, also known as the sunshine vitamin. So what if I told you that sunscreen could kill you? Vitamin D is an important vitamin that our bodies are capable of producing, but we can also get it from dietary sources. It comes from unusual sources, and it's beneficial to human health, and I think a lot of people don't know where to get it from, and so a lot of people are deficient. So I'd like to start by telling you what vitamin D is. According to the National Institute of Health, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that is naturally present in very few foods, added to others, and is synthesized by our bodies by exposure to sunlight. It's only one of the three fat-soluble vitamins. The other is A and K, and by fat-soluble I mean that it's dissolves in fat, and you must have fat to actually digest it. Which means, so the fact that it's fat-soluble is good because our body's able to store excess vitamin D in our fat, but it also means that you can get too much of it and it'll lead to toxicity. So let's talk about some of the dietary sources of vitamin D. So as you can see here, there's not very many, and actually the one that has the highest amount is cod liver oil, and the other two high-level ones are tuna and salmon, fatty fish, and you'll see here also eggs and milk, but you'd have to drink something like 10 glasses of milk a day to get enough vitamin D. So, there's realistically not enough dietary sources to get your full daily recommended value. So the other way that you can get vitamin D is your body can make it by exposure to sunlight. And that's important because actually the time of year and the color of your skin matters. It has to be direct sunlight. What you'll notice is that, as we all know, sun is not intense in the wintertime. So in the summer, as little as 10 minutes a day is enough to get all the vitamin D you need. But in the wintertime, you need 30 minutes because the sun is less. So interestingly enough, even glass and SPF 15 sunscreen can block up to 99% of UV rays, which actually wearing a lot of sunscreen diminishes your ability to get the amount of vitamin D you need. And the darker your skin is, the more sunlight you're required. African Americans and Asian Americans need more sunlight because the pigment in your skin blocks the UVB rays. And on the next page, you can see that this shows the latitudes, and in the northern hemisphere, in the winter months, there's not enough sunlight to get anywhere near as much vitamin D as you need to make, which leads to the fact that it's fat soluble, which means you can store up your winter reserves. But if you don't get enough during the summertime, you won't have enough through the winter. So now that we know where vitamin D comes from, let's talk about how it's important to our health. It aids in calcium absorption. You have to have vitamin D in order for your body to be able to absorb and use calcium, which consequently is why milk is fortified with vitamin D. Milk has a lot of calcium as well. It's also important for bone growth and can help prevent osteoporosis later in life. So what happens if you don't get enough or you get too much vitamin D? So deficiency really can be broken down into diseases in adults and in children. In children, it leads to rickets, which is the failure of bone tissue to properly mineralize. In adults, it can lead to osteomalacia, which is very similar to rickets, but for adults. It's a bone thinning disorder. If you get too much, it can actually have the opposite effect and can calcify your tissue. And actually, to get toxic levels of it, it primarily comes through supplements like vitamin pills, because your body self-regulates the sunlight absorption. as you get more sunlight, it actually decreases how much vitamin D you make, and you can't really eat enough food to get the vitamin D. So there's also some risk factors. As you can see here, this shows that who's actually at high risk to be deficient in vitamin D. You'll see that in the USA, roughly 77% of the people get insufficient amounts of vitamin D, and 6% are severely deficient. And if you look, Hispanic non-blacks, the percentage is actually much higher. It's 27% of Hispanics are severely deficient, whereas Caucasians, it's as little as 2%. So just to recap, vitamin D comes from unusual sources. It's beneficial, and there's serious consequences if you're deficient of it. Sunlight is the best way to get it. So next time you put on sunscreen, think twice, because it might save your life. It's not called a sunshine vitamin.
Did you turn it off yet?